Cool, so this is checking out the Simpson 380 to 420 hertz meter. If you're into that and you need that device, it is functioning. Currently have it set up on a signal generator. It's not scaled to it, so at full scale it is at 1000 hertz right now on this particular device. And then when I bring it down to 400, it's at 400. So 400 to 420 is a huge range there as far as hertz go. And I'm on a 10 volt scale in this thing, so it's pumping out 5 volts right now. It draws about 5 volts on here. So if I crank it up more, it pegs out the meter. If I adjust the voltage, not the frequency. Now if I adjust the frequency down to 400, it's about 400 right there, give or take. You can see here on the scale, it's at about 400. It's a little below it. That's typically because of voltage here. I'm drawing a load with this little thing here, and this thing, like I said, draws a load. If I put on the digital meter, it would even drop further, as that would take from the voltage as well. And this is kind of just holding up the small little handheld scope there. So if we drop down the voltage, you can see that goes away, a half a volt. So yeah, it's a neat little scale here, even if you're in the 400 hertz power range for airplanes or whatever. Pretty sure we can do some resistance measurements and figure out like a 380 to 420 would be a particular scale that you needed if you were actually doing hertz measurements. This one would be good for the amp testing that I would do, because I think it's at 400 and 1000 calls for a lot of the frequencies needed, but I would need a 1 volt peak to peak and not 14, so really wouldn't work for my purpose without another resistor. So that's about, there we go, give or take. So if I brought down 1 volt peak to peak, I would have to do some more adjusting. I mean, it's a 120 volt meter, so and there we go. Basically renders the meter useless for my purposes. But it is fully functioning, and it's a nice little meter. A little dirty. And in the back of it, let's see if I can move this out of the way. I just have it alligator clipped into and on the way out. So there you go. Need a meter? You got it. Let's see if I go all the way down to 380. At that same level, we're looking at, what are we looking at on the scale here? $225 hertz-ish, give or take. About 225. Still at the 5.38 volts RMS, 15 volt peak to peak. You can see the scope. Sorry. it's all the way off, and then turning up the voltage. Depending on this voltage scale here, about 5.1 takes it up to 1,000 hertz. There we go.